Hi, my name is Emily and I'm going to be presenting my action research plan. My topic was on exploring how instructional technology supports universal design for learning. As I begin my action research plan, I thought it would be important to explain some of my core values. One of my core values as an educator is to create a positive learning environment where all students feel welcome, included, and safe the moment they enter the room. I think it is also extremely important as an educator to be knowledgeable in a variety of classroom management strategies in order to maintain the positive learning environment. I am a strong believer in promoting and incorporating inquiry-based learning into the classroom. Students are able to express themselves and their learning in a variety of ways while being able to explore their own interests. Finally, I believe technology should be incorporated into every lesson to support universal design for learning. My core values relate to my personal worldviews of social constructivists. This means I'm continuing to seek understanding of the world I live and work in. I want to examine if teachers, as well as students, notice a difference in their learning when they integrate instructional technology. The question I am looking to investigate is, does instructional technology better support all students' learning, which in turn would support the universal design for learning and promote inclusion in the classroom? The topic of my research is focused on implementing technology on a daily basis in every lesson. I think when teachers incorporate technology into their lessons, the students are more engaged and interested in their learning. Technology also helps to make the lessons more accommodating to all students. For example, in my previous practicum, we used technology every day and every lesson. I was in a kindergarten classroom with 29 students. I used the smartboard to teach every lesson because all of the students were able to see clearly what I was showing them. I even read stories off the smartboard so all of the students would be able to follow along with the words and see the pictures. This helped to accommodate every learner in my classroom. I think a huge problem with integrating technology into the classroom is many teachers aren't properly trained on these programs, so they simply won't use them in their teaching. My first practicum, we had 7 iPads and a smartboard in the classroom. My associate never utilized those resources because she simply just didn't know how to use them. Educators also should be trained on the resources so that they are able to teach the students how to use them. Comparing my two practicums, I've noticed that when technology is not being utilized in the classroom, the students are disconnected and uninterested in the material. I think if we can demonstrate how instructional technology supports every learner's needs and universal design for learning, then more teachers would be willing to implement this into their teaching. My research question is, in what ways does instructional technology support universal design for learning or student inclusion? My research question is directed at the primary grades in particular. I wanted my research question to reflect the multiple aspects of my core values. I think in order to create a positive learning environment, we need to incorporate instructional technology to be inclusive to all our learners. I think it is very important to first define what universal design for learning is, or UDL as it's also referred to, as it is the basis of my action research plan. Universal design for learning is a process that maximizes the need for individual accommodations and eventually benefits every learner by considering different ways that the students' minds are activated. In the article, Making the Most of Universal Design for Learning, they found that incorporating assistive technologies into the classroom can help students with disabilities to overcome their academic difficulties that they may be facing and will also help them to further their academic skills. They also believe that designing environments and education systems that are accessible to everyone with or without disabilities will reduce the need for individuals' accommodations and will support UDL. This paper discussed how vital the teacher's role is in implementing instructional technology. They have to have the technologies readily available, but also be knowledgeable on how to use them. A limitation in this paper and of most of the current research is you are unable to hear the teacher or the student's voice. What are their thoughts and opinions on assistive technologies? This relates to my proposed research because I am hoping to get the teacher and the student's personal perspective on the instructional technology in their own learning. In the article, right from the start, Universal Design for Preschool, Stockall, Dennis, and Miller found that universal design for learning, with its emphasis on technology, helps to create multiple and flexible ways for teachers to present information to students. A limitation in this paper was it was directed at the preschool level. It would be interesting to see if the results would change for older grades when more curriculum is taught. They found that incorporating more technology-based activities into the learning can help to increase the student engagement and independence in the learning tasks. This relates back to my personal experience, is that students seem uninterested during lessons when technology is not present. In the article, The Three-Block Model of Universal Design for Learning, Katz investigated the three model of universal design for learning through a research study. He found that providing a positive classroom climate is very important when promoting UDL. This article discussed the benefits of UDL, but excluded how technology could be utilized within a classroom. Therefore, it had me questioning, does technology need to be implemented in a UDL classroom? It also explained that teachers need to give students opportunities to learn, engage, and interact socially with others, but didn't explain how we were to do that or give us strategies to use within the classroom. In the article, Implementing iPads in the Classroom Setting, it discusses the importance of technology being implemented into our daily teaching through smartboard activities, assistive apps, and apps to further develop student skills. It states that incorporating technology and iPads into the learning will help to make the classroom more inclusive to all students, because everyone will be using the same assistive tool, even though they might not be using it the exact same way. They found that it creates a more open learning environment because it reflects the different learning styles within the classroom. The limitation of this study is that it only includes observations from primary classrooms within an inner-city school. It would be interesting to look at how it affects junior or senior learners as well. This article discusses the need for teachers to be trained on instructional technology in order for them to be successful in implementing it into their classroom. It suggests that they need to have a deeper understanding of how these strategies make a more inclusive learning environment. This relates back to my research problem that teachers need to be trained properly on these resources in order to teach their students about them. In this article, Understanding How Adolescents with Reading Difficulties Utilize Technology-Based Tools, Marino studied the benefits of incorporating technology-based tools into the classroom setting. He found that instructional technology is gaining increased popularity as a method to scaffold students' learning processes and reduce the achievement gap in inclusive classrooms. A limitation he found was that there needs to be more research on instructional technology for it to be used more within classroom. This really sparked my interest in seeing if there was a connection between technology and universal design for learning. Now I'm going to discuss my research plan focusing on my data sources. First, I'm going to begin by discussing the participants and the setting. In this particular research plan, the classroom teacher and the students are the main participants. The research plan will take place in a grade 3 classroom. The data will come from the classroom lessons, teacher and student reflection, while also looking at the students' engagement, participation, and overall understanding of the concepts being taught. The data sources used in this particular action research plan were teacher journaling, anecdotal notes, and classroom observation, as well as interviews with a few students. I decided to pick these three sources because, in my opinion, it would represent all participants' voices. Teacher journaling allows you to get a more clear understanding of the lessons being taught, the technology being used in each lesson, and also allows you to see the teacher's perspective on how they thought the lesson went. The anecdotal notes are useful to refer to certain things the student might have said or done during the lesson. Were they engaged? Did they have a clear understanding? Was their learning being supported? Finally, incorporating unstructured interviews with a few students allows us to see the student's perspective throughout this whole process. Have they noticed a difference in their own learning is a guiding question to be asked throughout this process. To ensure validity, the teacher will have a good standing relationship with each one of her students, so they will feel more comfortable to share their thoughts and feelings about the new strategies being implemented. The teacher and the student's perspectives are both present throughout this action plan, which will help to make the research more honest. To ensure reliability, the teacher will reflect on the same guide questions each week to see if the students' learning needs were being met through the integration of technology in the classroom. This is also helpful to see if the student has grown academically or socially. The questions will focus on student engagement and participation in the classroom, the forms of technology being used, and if the technology is supporting the UDL. As the teacher records her anecdotal notes daily, she will take note of the student's participation and interest in the lessons with technology. These notes will help to illustrate the student's progress throughout the 4 months and help the teacher to adapt her teaching to meet the needs of all of her learners. Finally, the interview with the student gives the opportunity for the student's voice to be heard throughout this process. Much of the research lacks the student's perspective on their own learning when technology is incorporated. The interview will be unstructured, but the teacher will have a few guiding questions to start the discussion. These questions will not change throughout any of the interviews. Next, I am going to discuss the data collection procedures. As said before, I will be using the 3 sources of teacher journaling, anecdotal notes and classroom observations, and interviews with students. As a classroom educator, I will be conducting in teacher journaling at the end of each week. I will be reflecting on the same question each week and self-reflecting on my own practice. I will also be taking anecdotal and classroom observations daily. My notes will reflect my research question. I will also be reflecting on how instructional technology is supporting the UDL in my classroom. Finally, I will be conducting 3 unstructured interviews at the beginning, middle, and end of the research with the same 3 students. This is to maintain the reliability of the study. This is also to help get the perspective on how and if their classroom learning has changed throughout this journey. I thought it would be important to share some of my ethical considerations before beginning my action research plan. First and foremost, I would get consent form from the student's guardians and the student themselves to participate in the research. The students and my own identity will remain anonymous throughout this whole process. When I am recording information, I will use pseudonyms for the students' names. I will also keep my research in a protected locked file cabinet to ensure privacy and confidentiality to all my participants. Also, participants are able and free to leave the research at any time. Finally, I would like to ensure that the research results and final reports are made available to all participants, their families, and the principal.